What up, people? It's your good buddy SPJ here for another edition of SPJ Live. It's something just a little bit different this week. I decided to bring my favorite Canucklehead onto the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, to my, that direction, to your right, my left, the one, the only Canucks with guitarist himself, Ben Coombs, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me, my good friend.
Hey, you've had me on the show enough times. It was bound to happen that I should have you on the channel here tonight.
Payback can be well, you know.
For real. Exactly. How you doing, buddy? It's been a while since we've actually talked on air.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. I was going to say, I can't remember if our last hangout, I think it was right at the start of this whole craziness. So as things are starting to open up again, literally, we're bookending this crazy 2020 spring by hanging out together. So,
exactly.
Just searching for tone as always, trying to make videos where I can, meeting new friends in this YouTube community, and finally enjoying some vitamin D sunshine.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it is weird. Like, we really did talk I talked to quite a few people, not maybe like a week after all the quarantines went down. And so it was like, they're asking the question, how is everything? And I'm like, it's the same.
Yeah, exactly. And even just thinking, like, when was the last time we spoke like this? And I'm thinking, well, we hop into each other's chats, so there's that. We text each other, so there's that. So I don't know. Things are well. For those who aren't in on our text message bromance, we'll say. Things are good, things are well, and living that dream, as they say. Staying safe, and
that's all we can really do right now. Do the best that we can. Well, I want to acknowledge a few of the usual suspects that come into SPJ Live every week. We got Jay Steen in the chat, Gillis DeVillio. We got Tyler Jackson joining us again. I know Tyler was one of our winners from the Black Saturday giveaway that we did last winter. And then, of course, the one, the only Mr. Trouble himself, Aaron Lee of Albus Band. Aaron, it's good to have you, buddy. He has an interesting comment here. I'm actually on the computer. And to make sure to test things with his camera.
Yes. Well, for those who don't know, the majority of Aaron's YouTube experience is based off of a broke-ass iPhone that he's kept patched together forever and a day. So he's actually blown the dust off the computer because, as a bit of a teaser, Aaron is joining me on my channel tomorrow night as part of my birthday hangout, which Sean did last year, and he set the bar. Yes, folks, he set the bar.
I did not know that I set the bar. Oh, Tyler Jackson is apparently flattered that I remembered. It's like, Tyler, I remember things.
We remember stuff.
I may be one of those stereotypical guitar players, but I remember things. And it's hard for me not to remember that giveaway, because that was really successful, and it was a lot of fun for me to be able to do for everybody that watched. And, just like, it was so weird how Aaron ended up winning one, and then like people like Tyler come to the channel as a result of it, and we all get into this community. It was such a fun thing for me.
And we even held back. I know I was trying to win one myself, and I don't want to say, even as Aaron and myself as your moderators, we hung back at first. We're like, everybody, and then it was kind of, everybody kind of won what we won, and then we had some people that didn't respond in time, so there was a second round, and then
I mean, I like to make sure that it's open to everyone. And like, you guys, like, I got Aaron modding for me, I got you modding for me, I got Terry doing modding for me, and Riley. And I don't want to close that off to anyone, especially with something like as special as that fuzz bender was for me, it's like I'm not gonna get rid of that. I'm not gonna.
Well, and you know, for me, I just started dabbling in fuzz last year, and then actually what continued that journey was trying that fuzz, but I wanted to win it just because it was yours, right? And I was like, hey, it's my buddy Sean's pedal. I want to put it up on the shelf here. And it will look cool.
That's so nice.
And then you let me try it, and then I was like, oh damn, now I really want it.
No, yeah. Now that once you actually got it in your hand, because then when you were in town for NAMM, so basically what ended up happening, for those of you that don't know, is Ben and Aaron, Albus Band, were staying not a stone's throw from my house here in Orange County. Yeah. And so they came over and we had this big old day-long hangout, and we're just grabbing pedals off the drawer. We're plugging things in, trying things out. And one of the interesting things that happened as a result of that little hangout was Ben bought a fuzz pedal.
I
off
did.
Of me.
Yes. Now, I will say, folks, it's kind of like going to that good car dealership with the good sales team, because when you have someone like Sean dialing in the fuzz for you, and he's like, oh, so you play that style, eh? You attack that way. Okay. Ding, 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 and he works his little magic. And then Aaron's there too, turning dials. And yeah, how could I not fall in love? It's crazy.
You ended up finding something that worked for you, and that's kind of good. And that's something that I run into a lot with guys that don't have a lot of experience with fuzz, is they don't understand quite how to dial things in.
Right.
And
I like that one too, because being 3 fuzzes in one, and it wasn't like 2 mez and a good, which is usually the case, or maybe 2 goods, but never 3 goods. And I was like, wow. And it's easy to use, like it's the idiot's triple fuzz in many ways.
Nice. We got a couple more people who joined in. Milt T has joined the chat. How you doing, buddy? Good to have you here. And
I've known Milt since the mid-'80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Check that out. And Marsman has joined us in as well. Marsman, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Aaron says something about once quarantine is over, I'm having them send me a new one. I have insurance and only got to drop. Are we talking about your computer, or are we talking about a fuzz pedal?
I'm going to say his phone.
Oh, there we go. His phone. Sometimes the chat's hard to keep up with, people.
This is true. And sometimes Aaron's hard to keep up with. So
on that note, I'm going to crack this open.
There we are.
Get the party started. For those of you curious, because people ask me about this from time to time, tonight we're drinking Campgrounds India Pale Ale from my boys at Pizza Port Brewing Company in San Diego County. This one I bought at my local San Clemente location, Pizza Port, and it is a damn fine IPA, if I do say so myself. So cheers to you, Ben. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Yes. And I will say I am drinking a red Merlot from Milt T's neck of the woods from Paley Island, which is southeast of Detroit.
Well, look at you and your fancy drink.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to kind of do for this show, because tonight's SPJ Live is obviously a little different because I'm joined by a guest, we wanted to actually have a topic to share with you guys, and something that you guys can comment on and you can talk about in the chat and let us know your thoughts on, but something that we actually in our private conversations have never actually talked about. And I thought, hey, why not have the conversation on the air? It's as good as time as any. And that is the idea of the gear that got away, which I think most of us guitar players have felt the pain of the gear that got away at least one point in our lifetime.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. There's a variety of reasons why we part with the gear. Maybe you didn't bond with it as much as you thought you would, and then you still regret getting rid of it because maybe you've changed the way you play, or maybe there's a monetary reason. Or you get rid of a piece of gear because you have to for a financial reason, or maybe it's part of trade to trade up even. You may still regret getting rid of that piece of gear. there's lots of reasons to regret getting rid of gear. That's for sure. And
exactly. And it's a good time to actually bring that up because I wear my Reverb shirt. Right now, I actually am putting stuff up on my Reverb shot in order to try to fund a future purchase.
Right.
So what you just brought up there, the different reasons why one would get rid of gear, maybe it would be fun to kind of delve into that as well as why would you have gotten rid of this particular piece? And do you regret it? How much of seller's remorse do you have? So I'm going to let you get us started. And I want to know about a particular guitar that you may have let go or almost got, but didn't quite get there.
All right. Well, the year was 1992. Okay. And I'm trying to think. I think it's the fall of 92. No, actually probably summer of 92. So Nirvana had broken, but grunge hadn't invaded the world yet, right? We're talking literally that summer of 92. By 93, forget it. Game on.
And how I Met Your Mother told us, the 90s didn't come to Canada until 2003. I'm kidding. Go on.
So I had decided I was just a bedroom player at the time, and I decided I wanted a new stereo system, home stereo.
Right.
And so, hey, salut, mon ami.
Ben, before we continue the story, I just want to acknowledge our good buddy BV Ninja. BV coming into us. BV, I've been bumping into you a lot in the chats recently of various different live streams, and it's always a pleasure to be greeted by you and interact with you. So thank you so much for joining in for this little chat. I'm glad to have you. Sorry,
he's
Ben.
Here and awake. He's in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
It's not exactly what someone I would have thought to see in the chat, but very happy to see you, my friend.
Isn't that the truth? So, I want to get a new home stereo system. And so I thought, well, I'll sell one of my two guitars. That was my idea at the time. And so I sat down with my dad, and he says, okay, you have two guitars. One of them does a lot of different things tone-wise, and that being a Stratocaster. The other guitar kind of did one thing, and it did it okay for me, but didn't do it overly well, at least I thought at the time. Mm-hmm. And that was my 72 Les Paul Deluxe. It had mini humbuckers. Mm-hmm. They didn't have the same output as a full-blown Les Paul standard. So
yeah,
I thought, you know what? I'll get rid of that. So I sold it for basically what I paid for it, which was $500 with the case.
At least you broke even.
Yeah, and because that's kind of what they were worth. Slash played one. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, so what? Joe Perry played one sometimes, but Joe Perry played everything on stage at that time. He had
that's true.
Everything from shredder guitars to a few Les Pauls because he's Joe Perry. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't really anybody else waving that flag at the time. So I thought, well, I'll get rid of it. Strat covers a lot of territory. I was really down that whole blues path at that time, as we had talked off air. What I was listening to on my Walkman just a couple years prior. So I was into the SRV thing. So, the Strat made sense. And and within 6 months, that guitar was worth 3,000 Canadian.
Wow.
Because the vintage guitar market, because as a result of the resurgence of SRV after his passing, in conjunction with, as you recall, there was a lot of grunge going on, but we had a resurgence of blues at the same time.
Yeah.
And part of that being that trifecta of the Johnny Lang's, Joe Bonamassa, the kids coming up, Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
I was just about to say Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Yeah. Milt remembers that guitar. See, proof. Milt's known me a long time.
Been friends for a long time.
Yeah. So, I do regret, and especially once I found out, too, that you can swap out mini humbuckers for P90s.
Oh, right.
I was just like, yeah.
If only.
Yeah.
on that note, it almost even makes sense in a weird sort of guitar community social aspect, because grunge, even though it was like a heavy style of music, when you look at the guitars that many of those guitar players and bands were playing, Kurt Cobain was predominantly playing non-Gibson instruments. He was playing Fenders, short scale Fenders like the Mustangs and the Jaguars. He was playing the Univox, and quite a few other things. He wasn't playing Les Pauls. Pearl Jam were guys that they rocked Les Pauls here and there, but most
one played a Les Paul, one played a Strat usually.
Yeah, exactly. And predominantly, like when I look at like live Pearl Jam stuff, I hear more Fender style tones. And then
it was the focus on Mike McCready.
Right. And then even going further on that, when the grunge outliers, kind of like Smashing Pumpkins, that sound, Billy Corgan's guitar sound, was built off that hardtail 70s Strat that he had. And James Iha played a Les Paul Custom, but Billy Corgan's vision and the sound of Smashing Pumpkins was all built off that Gish Strat era Stratocaster that he, within the last couple of years, has gotten back from being stolen from him. So even in sort of like a social aspect thing, I totally get your sell the Les Paul, keep the Strat.
Right.
It just fit the time. A couple more people have joined in that I want to acknowledge. Pete Hickson has come in. Pete, how you doing?
Pete?
Good to have you here. Thank you so much. And Brian Landreth has joined in the chat as well. Just stopping by, but I'm scrambling trying to get my music room set up. I've been at it for 2 days. Brian, I know the struggle, and the struggle is real.
It is real.
I'm sitting here in the control room of my home studio, and I'm looking at cables lying on the floor. I got guitar racks in here, pedal boards in a corner, and I'm like,
I tell you, Brian Landreth, he's not dipping his toes into this YouTube thing. He's jumped right in. He's making videos. He's dedicated, redoing his music room. He's welcome to our world, Brian. Welcome to our world.
Welcome to the world. Oh, and also just joining in, Socks has joined in again after being gone for a long time. Good to see you, buddy. Glad to have you here. It looks like he's got a question for us, and we might as well answer. Have you guys played any ESPs, and what are your guys' thoughts on them? I just got a shiny new E2 and love it. Well, Socks, first off, congrats on New Gear Day. Those are the best days.
Yes.
And, I will ask Ben, have you had any experience with ESP stuff, and what do you feel about that?
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say a thank you to the Wonder Twins. I love you, Evan and Nora. They won't be able to tune in tomorrow night. So thank you, Evan and Nora.
Oh,
love those kids.
Yay, Wonder Twins.
Now, when it comes to ESPs, my understanding over the last couple of years is we're going to have to allow ESP and LTD, because at this point in time, my understanding is the only ESPs currently being branded as ESPs are artist signature models that are essentially grandfathered in. Like,
right.
If you or I got endorsed by them, they're not going to do a signature ESP for us. It'll be a signature LTD.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, ESP is more or less just a custom shop, which is kind of what it originally was at 48th Street Music.
Right.
As far as playing them, I will say their Viper, which is like their SG.
Yeah.
I'm not an SG guy, but if I was going to buy an SG-shaped object, it'll probably be one of those, because they do that cool offset thing on the back end, so it's not headstock heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I dig that. Their single cut, the EC series,
the Eclipse,
again, not too shabby, not too shabby. They play well. They remind me a lot of an Ibanez single cut, the nicer ones, and for the same price. That's what they kind of reminded me of, which is your typical mid to high quality Korean, Indonesian, Japanese, because we can all, you can group all three because it's 3 different price points. Your 4 to 6 is your Indo, your 6 to 8 Korean, your 8 to what, and they build a good product. My buddies at Arden's Music have been LTD dealers pretty much on and off for a decade.
Yeah.
And I say on and off only because they stop carrying for a while after they sell a bunch of them, because they will sell a ton of them. And then it saturates the local market. So then they sit for a year and they'll bring them back again after a couple of years because there's demand for them.
Right. Yeah.
Did that answer the question?
I think it answers the question at least.
They put on one hell of a display at NAMM.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, one of my favorite videos that I do at the NAMM show and had done at the NAMM show up until this last year was literally me and my wife walking around the ESP booth, and I just grab guitars off the wall and show off my favorites. And my favorite part about it is it's nothing more. I don't play them. I just pick them up and talk stupid crap about them.
Yeah.
And they're always fun, and they always look so cool. They're always so much fun to walk around and take a look at. I love their NAMM booth. As far as my opinions on ESP, I currently have my eyes on a multi-scale LTD 7-string.
Ooh.
Because I'm looking to upgrade the 7-string, and sadly the Ormsby 7-string that I really wanted is no longer available. Am I? So hopefully within the next year, maybe you'll be seeing me playing a different 7-string rather than the Chapman that I have, which there's nothing wrong with it, but I feel like I need to get something a little bit different for what I want to do. And I came across that multi-scale 7-string last year and was thoroughly impressed by it.
And if you get that multi-scale 7-string, you can see a video in about a year, actually I'll say 10 months, of Ben totally lost on a multi-scale 7-string hanging out at SPJs. Because I will shoot a video on that.
That'll be funny.
Because all I know is, folks, it's like we always joke, like back in the day, I'm glad there wasn't camera phones back in the day. Well, I wish there wasn't camera phones around today, because every time I pick up a 7-string, someone takes my photo. Because it's like catching a unicorn on camera or something. I don't know.
Well, what I can say to sum all this LTD talk up is that I have seen plenty of LTDs and ESPs and played plenty of them, and I absolutely think that bang for your buck, ESP LTD and Schecter are the way to go. If you want a great mid-price guitar, I will have no problem recommending you go towards any of that. So definitely Socks. Congrats on the new gear day. I approve. Share photos and tag me on socials. I want to see it.
Yes. And I think the Wonder Twins didn't hear me say thank you for the happy birthday, Evan and Nora. BV just messaged me as well. Just yes. Thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Now, Dad's going to give you a hug to each of you on my behalf, and I will be seeing you kids soon enough. We'll have to do a FaceTime or something real soon.
Yay.
Yes.
And Pete Hickson saying the closest he's gotten to an LP is an LTD. And I definitely think that their single cuts in their price point are probably amongst the best. And Aaron agrees. LTD, great bang for buck.
Yeah, I think they're very comparable to an Epiphone in price. Possibly a little less than an Epiphone, come to think of it, because during the relaunch, I noticed Epiphone's prices did creep up, at least in Canada, but I get it, and warranted, because for all the guys like, ooh, I'm not buying an Epiphone, I don't like the headstock. Well, we fixed the headstock, so, you're going to pay an extra $40.
Well, speaking of Epiphone, we've got some Epiphone stuff coming up on my channel in the near future. The DC Pro has been repaired. It is fixed and it is ready to go. So hopefully in the next few weeks, I'll be shooting a video for that, as is the current hit of the household, the Tiger Stripe Pacer Vintage.
Yay!
Dude, I I have been playing this thing like crazy the last couple of weeks. I love it.
It's your guilty pleasure guitar. I say, you know.
Totally. And on the subject of the gear that got away, this actually fills the void of a guitar that I got rid of many, many years ago because I wanted a new acoustic guitar. I had an Ibanez JS100, Joe Satriani's signature model. That was the first good guitar that I bought with my own money that I earned from taking on extra chores around the house and saving up for months. And it had, you know, the Ibanez style locking whammy bar system. Because remember, people, whammy bars are vibrato, not tremolo.
That's right.
Leo Fender's worst contribution to our industry.
You got those two things backwards.
Exactly. We got some more people joining in. We got to say hi to your lovely sister Amanda.
Hey, sis.
As well as JJ's House of Jams.
Brother James.
What up,
Brother
neighbor?
James?
What up?
I was thinking about Brother James today.
Aw, me too. I was thinking about everybody. Missed that hang. That was such a fun day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're just missing one from that hang, and I don't see him in here. He is probably lurking, though.
Yeah, he
might be Laz.
He might be. Laz might indeed be lurking. So, yeah, this fills the void of that JS100 because about, I would say 2 years ago, I was like, man, I really wish I had a guitar with a Floyd again. And thankfully, around that time, Aljon and I sort of reestablished a connection more intimately. We started talking more, chatting about how the channel was evolving. And knowing that Gibson was connected with Kramer now, and he is a big time proponent of that brand because he's
pretty much the chief bottle washer there.
Exactly. So he decided I needed a Pacer Vintage, which apparently a lot of the early Satriani stuff was recorded on a Pacer.
I did not know that.
So I have been playing this a lot. I know my face was really surprised when I unboxed it here on the show a while back because I was expecting a black one, not a tiger stripe.
You were in shock. Aaron was probably rolling his eyes, and I was giggling like a schoolgirl because I'm like, I get to play that guitar at some point.
Maybe.
Oh, I know what.
If I hang on to this one, I got Eyes for the Night Swan.
Oh well, okay. Touche, sir. Touche. That's like the ultimate. Yes. And as you say about having that need to have a Floyd Rose based guitar, that's how I end up with my Kramer, was for that exact reason. I wanted to have one in the arsenal, another tool in the tool chest. And so I got my 86 Kramer Focus, which is currently on the workbench getting a ton of upgrades from FU Tone.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I'm hoping to honestly, like, between all the Gibson related stuff that I've been able to do on the channel, which I'm very happy to do because it's kind of a dream come true for this kid. I'm really intrigued by the Kramer stuff because it seems like they are throwing a lot of weight behind the brand and doing a lot of really cool stuff for it. So I don't see this as being the only Kramer that I see this year.
Oh, no, this is just a tease, I think, of things to come.
This is just the beginning. I'm really excited about this particular guitar. I'm excited to hopefully one day keep one of these Kramers. I know the Epiphones that we played at NAMM were very exciting. And basically.
I come to think I was playing an Epiphone model yesterday that I more or less missed at NAMM. And I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's a model. Although I do love the fact that, because now that the new Epiphones are all coming into the area here over the last few weeks, That was a wonderful surprise. Walking to music stores, I'm like, hey, the new Epiphones are here. Sweet. Right. Because very they cool. Literally came in during quarantine. And so they brought out the classic model, which is the brother to the Gibson Les Paul classic model. Yeah. Awesome. You know, so it's not just a standard, a custom Pro, traditional Pro. Fine. But there's another one, 4 letters beginning with an S, I believe. And the interesting thing is, it's a thinner body. It's got a belly cut to it, and it's the one that has the clear knobs on it as well.
Is it the Muse model?
Maybe the Muse.
Yeah.
I know it's 4 letters.
That sounds about like what you're talking about, because the Muse model is a little thinner. The neck is a little smaller.
The neck is so small, Sean. Have you played one?
I have. Yeah.
Like that neck, folks, it is easily as narrow, if not narrower, than a Telecaster.
Yeah.
And it's only 3/4 as deep as a thin Tele neck.
Yeah, it's the Muse model that you're talking about, because they all have clear knobs on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember that's all. Well, let's be honest. At the Gibson party, I wasn't exactly sober, but I believe I even said it to you. I was like, "Look at clear knobs. It's like Epiphone gave a guitar to Brian Wampler to trick out. This is awesome."
Apparently, according to what Aljon was telling me, is that they were really trying to make a series of guitars that were like Music Man playability, was what they were going for with that series. And I think
they got the coil tap too.
Yeah, and I think they succeeded with it.
Yeah, and the price point's nice. I think it retails for 700 Canadian, so that's going to come in probably about $479 US, 5 range.
Looks like Pete is sharing with us a gear that got away. I sold an Aria Pro 2 Super Strat with a really nice chunky maple neck to buy a new gem. Didn't get on with the gem, but they had already sold my Aria, so I couldn't get it back. Worst mistake ever. Oh, man. But JJ follows that up with a really interesting question. What gem was it? Because even if you did sell it for the gem, depending on what gem you sold it for, you could probably have gotten more money in the long run and then gotten back what you missed so much.
Well, beyond the people that trashed their gems or tried to modify them, and I've never seen a good modification ever done to a gem.
Oh, no.
Like, for some reason, and I never understood that. The people that in no way, shape, or form should ever touch a guitar to modify always seem to have gems that they modify.
Yeah.
But barring those, is there another guitar by Ibanez that's retained value?
Yeah, I can't
really.
Apparently Pete got one of the first. So I'm assuming you probably got either one of the green, yellow, or pink ones. And in good condition, those fetch fantastic amounts of money.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because the pinks didn't sell like at all. So they're super rare. The greens, people played them. That was the problem. They were the coolest. And they were quite rare too. And it seems to be the green faded quite a bit too.
Okay, so Pete got a green.
Ooh.
Pete, do you still have it? Love to know that. You know, on the subject of Steve Vai guitars and the one that got away, I actually did have a chance to purchase a gem back in college from a friend. And he was going to cut me a really good deal on it. And I almost took him up on it. But for some reason, I just decided, like, nah, it's not really the Ibanez for me. I don't really... That was back when Sean was very anti-Floyd.
That was me, like, up until 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I grudgingly accepted the Floyd. Once they're in tune, they're great.
Oh, yeah. Actually, one of the things Aljon and I have been talking about is actually coming up with a video that talks about don't fear the Floyd. Things that you can do to make sure that your experience with a Floyd Rose is as best as it possibly can be. And in the process of having this Kramer, I've actually come up with a few tricks that I think will be really great for that video. I don't want to share any of them with you now, but if you would like to see that video, say so in the chat. Give this video some thumbs up, and let me know, because I will be, come the summer, working on a little bit of a different content approach, because it doesn't seem like demos are going to be as numerous as they are right now. So I want to do things that more guitar players are going to find more use for, rather than just me showing you this cool new product that you need to spend all your money on during a pandemic.
Right. Now, that Floyd, is it floating?
It's just barely floating.
Yeah, old school Kramer setup. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it can really get picked.
Yeah, as I was going to say, anyone for their first Floyd guitar, don't have a floating one.
Yeah.
Like a gem, or like basically avoid Ibanez. Other than that's the only, or get one with a trim stop.
Yeah, definitely. I can raise pitch up a half step on this, which is at this point it's enough. But what I have gotten to the methodology, and I learned this methodology actually from the one and only Carl Verheyen, is how to set up a floating Strat bridge to stay in tune. And when you set it up that way, dude, it works. It works so well. The Strat stays in tune the entire time. You can raise and lower pitches to your heart's content and work on all your best Scott Henderson whammy bar tricks.
Nice.
It's the
best. I have to shoot a part 2 of my Kramer upgrade series, and I know there's going to be some heavy editing involved, because one of the upgrades was installing a big brass block in it, which involved completely dismantling the trem system.
Oof.
And I don't have an intonation tool, so it's going to be a lot of, tune, detune, move, tune, detune, unlock, Yeah. So it's literally been on the bench all week for that reason, because it's just like, do I want to attack that today? No, I don't feel like spending 3 hours intonating.
Yeah. By the way, Pete has shared with us that he did not end up keeping the jam. He got rid of it after a few weeks to get something more playable for him.
Right.
That in and of itself right there for me is a gear that got away, because even if I had an Ibanez PGM for a very long time. As a matter of fact, although you guys watching the channel might associate me most with my black and silver Les Paul Studio, my wife apparently associated me with the PGM 301 that I would bring on and off during college when we first met. It wasn't exactly the guitar I brought every day, but I brought it quite a bit. So it was a little bit of a challenge when it came time to say, look, hon, we need some money and this has some value. I need to sell it. There was a little bit of sentimental value to her that I needed to, there was a little hurdle there that I needed to get over.
I hear you.
Let's see. Sox has a good one.
Yes, I was just looking at that.
I had a chance to buy a Manson EVO for a steal, at least half of what's on Reverb, but I waited too long to do it. Haven't seen a decently priced one in ages. Also sold a ZVEX Mastatron I miss. Dude, the pedals that got away could be an entire memoir for me.
Do we want to start with any pedal that I owned in high school? Because that's all original run stuff, because most of the companies were out of business.
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
All right. When I bought that original Les Paul, I bought it along with 2 pedals and an amplifier. The amplifier was made by Hohner. It was a 1x15 keyboard amp.
Okay.
Sure. Let's take it.
Yeah.
And the 2 pedals was a Boss CE2. And I should also mention, I think I bought the guitar in fall of 1990. So, guaranteed, the Boss CE2 is still sitting back there. That I did not get rid of.
Good.
And I got an MXR distortion pedal.
Okay.
So It wasn't even branded as a Distortion Plus. I didn't like the fact that I couldn't run a power supply into it. I didn't like the fact it didn't have an LED to tell if it was on or off. The only selling point of that pedal was Randy Rhoads used one of these, man. All right, I plugged it in. I thought it sounded like ass. Well, I didn't have a modded plexi to hit it with. You know, I was trying to run it through a Fender amp.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
No.
And I was a teenager, and I didn't know how to set up a pedal or a tone to save my life.
Right.
I barely set up a decent tone now. And that's only because most of my pedals are boutique pedals, so it gives me a starting chance, I guess. You know, because it's hard to make a good pedal sound bad.
Yes, it really is. By the way, Tom has joined the chat.
Oh, dear Lord.
How you doing, buddy?
Hey, wild man.
He might be scared of you, but I'm not scared of you. Dude, if I could, like I said, I could write a book on the pedals that got away and the pedals that I got rid of. And
I'm just reading the trade JJ made.
Let's see. There we go. Traded my first run blue Floral Gem for an... Oh, my God. JJ, you broke me. Oh, JJ, you broke me.
Okay, how about the fact I sold a 63 blonde tweed Fender Bassman amp 212, or not amp, sorry, speaker cab, just the cab, for $200 in the mid 90s.
It's just the cab, so it's only one part of it, but still.
With the original Jensen speakers in it.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, granted, I only paid $20 for it.
Well, hey, you got more than your money's worth.
Yeah, I got it and the big 2x15 cab at a flea market, $20 a piece. And I said, and the guy wanted, no, I might have even paid $20 for the pair because I think he wanted 20 a piece because my hippie brother had a band and left these in my barn 20 years ago. And this was around 1990, 91. So the guy brought him out to this flea market to sell. And I said, well, I'll give you 20 for the pair. He goes, fine, get him out of here.
Okay.
My dad rolls up with a pickup truck because I just told him, I bought something down here. Meet me down at the end of the aisle. Okay, me and my buddy. And we come up and he's like, what? How did you get a blonde Fender speaker cab? It was at an automotive flea market at that. So it's all car parts everywhere. And this one guy had some musical gear that because he was cleaning out the barn of a bunch of old car parts and thought, well, I'll bring these old speakers along. And, you know, I'm a car guy as well as music. So I was like, oh, I'm the one guy that would scoop up all that stuff each year.
Yeah, right. Man, still feeling that blue gem. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a gut punch.
Here's Aaron's 3 biggest ouchies. My grandpa had a 62 Strat chilling my whole life at his house. Payment from someone that couldn't pay their bet. He was a bookie for the mob. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, and I will tell you, having heard the story, that guitar was fresh off the showroom floor, sitting in a case.
Oof.
Never really been played ever, and he had told Aaron for years to take it.
He said, get rid of it, but I didn't play, so I said no. He gave it away, and years later, after he died, we found the receipts.
Yeah.
So that's the worst. It was brand new. Oh, well. Yep. Here we go. Second, I unknowingly had/used an original Russian muff on tour and jumped off the stage in Cali and caved in the foot switch, so I chucked it. Went to GC the next day and bought a new Pi. Thought it was broke and returned it.
Yeah,
dude, you never give away old Russian any old Electro-Harmonix pedal. As shitty as they can be in the enclosure, you save them until you can find a new enclosure.
And then when you find somebody in life, yeah, especially I think that one, it was because he was stomping on it all the time. It probably just needed a new foot switch.
Yeah.
So you know, as a musician or especially now as a YouTuber, you befriend so many pedal builders that was once a basket case doorstop. You just send off to one of your friends, and they're able to resurrect these things.
according to JJ's House of Jams, that he has an OG white-faced rat that I need to try.
He does.
A 1987 rat. JJ, I got a buddy who, Dakota, who you guys may have been seeing on the channel recently from some of the videos that we've been doing of his cool guitars and his cool pedals.
Right.
He is a rat fiend. So he would probably want to hear that as well. Maybe after quarantine is all said and done and COVID has passed us, we will have to have a rat fest. Indeed. Oh, God.
Aaron?
This is the worst. And last, I literally gave away a block letter 5150 Mark I.
He's getting a punch in the back of the neck the next time I see him over that.
I don't even like PV 5150s, and I wouldn't give that away.
Yeah, that's a holy grail.
That's one of those amps that you keep in your studio and you charge people extra to use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, might as well give away a Plexi while you're at it.
Yeah. Shit, man. Yeah, damn my life.
Yeah.
This basically sums up all the videos that I'll be doing with Dakota. Dakota has vintage stuff.
That's the name of the series right there.
That's
Dakota
basically what it is.
Stuff.
By the way, for those of you that are wondering if Dakota and I will be doing more videos after this recent round that I have uploaded, we do actually have 3 more videos in the can that are waiting to be edited and uploaded. So you will be seeing more of Dakota on the channel. And hopefully after quarantine is over and we can all safely not have to social distance and actually be in the frame of one camera together, we will be doing more videos. Dakota and I have a really good time doing that for you guys.
Nice.
So,
and yes, Milt is correct. It was the Sterling Flea Market. Yes.
Wow.
The Sterling Automotive Flea Market.
Man.
Which got postponed this year. It's supposed to be the first weekend in May. I believe it's been postponed to September. So
wow.
I'm hoping to make it up there.
Aaron says he apparently gave it away because it was heavy. Oh dear, your poor back. It's only a tube amplifier with giant transformers and like 12 tubes in it. My God, do some core exercises. I love you.
If he didn't know every pedal builder in the world.
Yeah, right.
Have sick tone now. Oh, Aaron.
Sox has, speaking of fuzz pedals and COVID, I'm currently waiting on the new KHDK Unicorn Blood run. Oh, that sounds awesome. Nice. COVID halted shipping, so I'm super hoping that it all passes so I can get a new sweet fuzz. Unicorn Blood sounds fantastic.
Speaking of new sweet fuzz that I'm in love with, I got this on Tuesday.
Show me.
The new Stinger Fuzz by TL Pedals.
Ooh, very
out of the greater Moncton area in New Brunswick, Canada. And basically the Stinger Fuzz BMP, which is your 73 Big Muff Pi, but with an added mids control.
Nice.
Because what is that one problem with that circuit? I would like a little more adjustability. Personally, the ultimate would be a 3-band EQ because, let's be honest, with most muffs, the bass is on 10 out of the box. So you're just dialing in more highs to compensate for that all that bottom end.
Right.
But definitely, I put this on. I tried this out on Tuesday and was blown away.
Fantastic.
Absolutely blown away. I was like, ooh, yeah, it's board worthy, folks. It's going on the board.
Nice. By the way, our fellow NAMM Hangout friend
there he
is here. What up, Laz? Good to see you, buddy. By the way, apparently Aaron sold the cab as well as the block letter 5150.
You know what? If he says one more stupid giveaway like this, I'm gonna start calling you Stewie, Aaron, and you know why. He'll know exactly what I mean.
Fantastic.
And there's Garguts. Good to see Garguts in here.
What up, you dirty Mark? You stupid Mark. You motherfucker. You stupid Mark.
Garguts is one guy that I did not see once during NAMM where I was sober. He may have been, but I definitely wasn't. For whatever reason, he never caught me Actually, I don't even think I saw him during daylight hours either. I think it was only after dark. Garguts after dark.
Yeah, I think that may have been the case. We've actually Garguts and I have had a recent discussions about possibly getting in on some pro wrestling podcasting action. So we might be talking more about that in the near future, but who knows?
If it's prior to 1998, I can help you out.
Well, hey, there might be some point.
If you want to do a flashback, let's say I did see Andre the Giant wrestle live. So
that's cool. Yeah. That is cool. By the way, Lillian has joined us in. How you doing, Lillian? Good to see you.
Good to see Lillian in here.
I'll always remember Lillian because Lillian is a fan of my bends.
Well,
I
recall have nice bends.
I recall that being something that Lillian wanted to hear. And when I saw that, I'm like, all right, I'll do some bends. Nice. Man, we got a lot of good suspects going on here. Stoked to do that podcast, and Andre the Giant story would be a cool topic. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, man, let's get talking about it because I've been thinking about it a little bit more and think maybe now's the time to just get into it. By the way, for those of you who may be interested in the whole pro wrestling tie-in that I do sometimes here on the channel called Stompbox SmackDown. I've gotten some questions about it, if it's going to come back. At the end of the day, I have so many of them actually planned out that I want to do. They just take a lot of time to prepare. They take a lot of time to produce. And so I'm just trying to make sure that if I do them again, that I have the time to do it and that they're going to get better and not just be stagnant. I want the quality of it to increase. So I'm working little by little on getting these things working properly. So hopefully during the summer, you'll be seeing more Stompbox SmackDown than you have previously.
Yeah. It's like coming out of Moncton, New Brunswick, weighing in at 12.5 ounces.
I like that. By the way, apparently Janice is in the same town as WWE headquarters. So you're in Connecticut, aren't you, Janice?
That's right.
I did not know that. See, right here. Please play those bends. Do you want unplugged bends? I can do that. That sounded so good.
Nice.
So we talked guitars that got away. We talked pedals that got away. What about amps that got away?
I want to say, what was it? An early 70s Fender Vibrolux.
Oh, wow. Just didn't bond with it, or you needed something?
I wasn't living in the area at the time. The amp was here. Dad's like, do you want this amp that's sitting at my house? And I'm like, yeah, if you can get some money for it. So I think he sold it for $300 or $400 in the mid 90s. I was actually living with Milt T at the time down in Windsor, Ontario, I believe.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that was nice. It was definitely a nice amp. Yeah, silver face, beautiful. But again, it won't distort. There was no gain. There was only a master volume. It's funny, because you think master volume Marshall, non-master volume Marshall, right? It's all gain. That's all you have is a gain knob. So all you're going to do is saturate that already loud amp.
Right.
The Fenders, it was just a master volume that, like any Fender amp, as soon as you got to 2, was already loud.
Right.
And it just got louder. It never broke up. It's just, so you had to use pedals. And pedals weren't that prevalent in the early 90s.
That's true. I don't think most people realize how pedals...
inexpensive.
Yeah. Most the pedal craze really wouldn't start until maybe 1995.
Yeah. Well, again, grunge helped with that. But what we didn't touch on, and one thing that grunge really helped, again, with that dualness, with the blues resurgence, was both grunge and blues together spawned the vintage gear market.
That's true, because a lot of
the blues guys, what are you playing? Old Strats, Tellys, Les Pauls. We'll throw in the whole ES, all the hollow body, semi-hollow body.
Right.
And then you had all the California guitars being used, Sonic Youth. Nobody played a Jazzmaster or a Jaguar until Sonic Youth hit the scene.
Between Sonic Youth, My Bloody Valentine, like all those guitars were cheap at the time. So
that's the thing. Pawn shop guitars.
Exactly.
Pawn shop gear. None of us, you'd be embarrassed to use one of these. You had to have rack gear to be a cool guy. In the early 90s, you had rack gear running into a Marshall amp or what have you.
Right.
To use a Fender combo amp and stomp boxes, well, that's all just pawn shop gear. And at that time, with the exception of pre-CBS, Fender, that was the only vintage gear, was pre-CBS. After that, it was just old gear still.
By the way, Janice is saying she was sitting at the light where you could see the building the other day, and she thought of me. Next time she'll take a picture. Oh, that's nice of you, Janice. Yeah, please do. I'd love to see it. And Aaron is listing some of the early suspects of the boutique pedal boom with Mike Piera. That's Analog Mike from Analog Man, George Trips of Way Huge, and of course the one and only Robert Keeley.
Now, wasn't it also George Trips that relaunched MXR as well?
Well, no. What George ended up doing is we could talk for hours about what George Trips has done, but Way Huge was really like the mid to late 90s. And then after closing down Way Huge, George actually, to another point that Aaron makes, the DL4, George actually joined up with Line 6 to work on the entire series of those stomp box modelers that were so popular around the early.
Yeah, see, I missed out on all that because I kind of got out of playing in the late 90s, put it aside until about 2010. So when I came back into it, I'm looking at the relaunch or basically the launch of the Nano series by Electro-Harmonix. That's where I came in. So, MXR was back. Line 6 was an entity, and I already knew them for slagging because they had crappy little practice amps that didn't sound good outside of the bedroom. That's kind of where I came back in. And what all the gear that I had purchased back in the day and pulled out of storage after 20 years was all of a sudden now vintage or classic. And I'm just playing the same thing, and that was it. And because everything by 2010 the guitar had already been on the decline for a number of years, so it already splintered into all these things. So you could do whatever the hell you want. You want to be a blues guy? Cool. You want to do metal? Do it. You want to do grunge? Fill your boots.
Absolutely.
Because grunge was already retro by that time.
Aaron has given us a little rundown of George Tripp's history. Way Huge was his. He closed it, went to Line 6, then Dunlop got him, and he took overseeing MXR Dunlop and brought Way Huge to them too. And to add on to that, George's involvement with Dunlop actually comes from the fact that Jimmy Dunlop, the son of the Jim Dunlop, actually had been interested in acquiring the Way Huge brand since the day that George Trips closed down the original Way Huge Electronics. What I think is interesting about what George has done, and I don't think that a whole lot of people really understand, is that when it comes to his contributions, as much as people give him credit for what he has done, I don't think he considers himself in the way that most people regard him, in that by the time he got started, like, he was a fairly young guy. He wasn't like, some guy in his late 30s, early 40s who grew up with all these vintage instruments. Like, he wanted certain vintage effects, but he was a fairly young guy when he got started. So, like, if you see George today, honestly, he doesn't look much older than the first time I saw him, maybe 12 to 15 years ago.
Right.
He by that point that he got started, I'm pretty sure Keeley was already like doing mods. I think Analog Man was doing mods. Mike Fuller with Full Tone had already been going for a little while.
Right.
And I'm pretty certain that George actually worked for Dave Friedman for a little while at Rack Systems.
Okay.
So George
makes sense.
Yeah, George's involvement has been very, very long, and his contributions, I think, what he's talking to him, what he's most excited about these days is working on sort of the legacy brands that Dunlop owns. So he's very involved with Fuzzface, very involved with MXR, and is like, I think he's head of product development is his official title right now. And
I think honestly, it's everything has to get his approval to go out on the market. You know, I think every effects-based product is going to come across his desk at some point.
Right.
Even if it's just that QA by him, you know, they're like, yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he's very,
as they should.
I actually saw him at NAMM at the pedal builders party.
Cool.
Which was is always my favorite Saturday hang because those are my people. Yeah, it was great to talk to him for a little bit. He's always been someone whose work I've admired, and if you don't know anything about Way Huge, I would really recommend that you check out some of their stuff. I actually did a demo of the recently released Smalls Swollen Pickle on the channel, so please do check that out. That could use a few more views right now, and I want to keep working with Dunlop, so please go watch it.
Yes, yes. I will say it's a very big deal when the major brands take notice of us as YouTubers.
Indeed, you know, it is.
I can say from personal experience, honestly, it's not overly hard to convince the one-man operation to take a chance on the one-man operation YouTuber.
Right.
You know, the next step would be your, I don't know, what would be the next step up from that? It almost seems like guys that we have a whole bunch of guys that are one-man operations, and then you get into your JHS guys that probably have a dozen people working in and around them, you know?
Yeah.
But then we're dealing with Dunlop. Dunlop is a full-blown corporation.
Yeah.
You know, so that is huge, you know, because honestly, you can count the major corporations on one hand in this industry. You know,
you really can. You really can.
You know, Fender, let's say Fender Corp, Gibson, Dunlop. See, I want to say Ernie Ball, but Ernie Ball and Dunlop, aren't they together in some ways?
No, they're just very close by.
Okay.
I would say Roland Boss.
Yeah, and Roland Boss. Exactly.
By the way, Boner Jams 1998 wishes you a happy early birthday. Hope you enjoy the midget strippers tomorrow.
Boner Jams. I love you.
By the way, YouTube and parents watching out there, I did mark this video as not friendly for kids.
Wise move.
And
you know what? The biggest problem with marking it is friendly for kids is you disable comments on your videos.
Yeah, right. I want to hear about it. By the way, Garguts has a question. What was y'all's first pedal? Mine was the Heavy Metal Boss and the Boss Chorus that split the signal. So what was? Yay! A super chat from Laz. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate that. Have a drink on me. Oh, don't worry. I will have another drink on you. So, what was your first pedal, Ben?
I got 3 pedals at once. I had traded an El Degas bass, about a 79 El Degas P bass clone, a GBX head and cab Canadian solid state amp company. There's GBX right back here. Boom. Traded those for a Boss power supply pedal, Boss CE2, another CE2, which was actually my first CE2. So that would actually be that one back there. The other one I sold to my dad. And a Boss DF2, the distortion feedbacker, which I wish I still had. Nice.
Very cool. My first pedal was a Korg Axe 1G multi-effects processor.
You're showing your age there, SPJ.
I still have it. It is in the box right now in the other room in the closet.
Right.
And if enough people give this video a thumbs up and continue to subscribe to the channel, maybe this summer I will bust it out and I will do a very long and very tedious video about it. But I honestly, the coolest thing about it is I've taken it out of the closet periodically over the last few years, and it actually surprises me to this day how much I didn't know about it when I got it when I was 14, and how ahead of its time it was.
Right.
There is cab sims in there, and I had no idea.
Yep.
No clue.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. You know, that's what I was saying. When you were dating, so only because if you wanted a multi-effects unit, when I started playing, you'd have to contact Bob Bradshaw to build you one.
Yeah.
You know, because it was, even the rack gear was all single use, right? And that's why you had to have that big refrigerator of a rack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Insane. There's a lot of people sharing their first pedal. Aaron has my first pedal I reacquired and still secret weapon is an Ibanez 60s Fuzz. Plastic sound tank, built like shit, but sounds awesome. Nice. I remember the Sound Tank series. Sox's first pedal was a Crybaby. I sold it after getting into fuzz pedals and to fund a new muff, but I still think back on it since it started my obsession.
I had an Ibanez wah pedal at one time.
Which one was that?
It looked almost like a Boss volume pedal, like completely plastic.
Oh, it was the WH10 probably.
Yeah, I want to say late 80s vintage probably.
Yeah.
I always forget, Ibanez had a whole line of pedals in the 80s, but I don't know if they were ever big sellers beyond the Tube Screamer here in Canada, because for every 10 Tube Screamers, you might see one non-Tube Screamer by Ibanez pedal.
Right. I've always had an interesting thing with Ibanez pedals, because when I was really starting to get into pedals, it was the Tone Lock series, the 7 series, with the little knobs that you could press down on and they'd pop out. Oh, do you have one?
Right up here.
Which one do you have?
I just got into them last year. I have the SM7 Smashbox.
Nice.
Which has a totally, for me, unusable tone, but it is the most unique, thrashy, kind of quasi-Metallica tone that I will say that none of my other pedals can get.
Okay.
So I know this pedal has to stay in the studio just in case I need this sound.
You never know. You never know.
The other is the CF7, the Chorus Flanger.
Ooh, very nice.
Yes.
Very
Found this at used gear swap last summer.
Very cool. I'm currently looking for the LF7 Lo-Fi. That's the one that I have my eye on. Back when I was working artist relations for New Neighbor Audio, I went to a show at the Pomona Glass House for a Christian metalcore band called For Today. And the 2 guitar players were artists on our roster that I signed. Mm-hmm. And they came through, and I went early, checked out the guitar rigs, hung out with the band. And both guitar players had the LF7 on their pedal boards. And I recall listening to their sound check, and at certain points they'd kick it on for that like filtered chugging sound. And it sounded exactly like I would want a lo-fi sort of, you're hearing it through a small radio speaker to sound like, but played. Mm-hmm. They basically turned their 5150 amplifiers through 412 cabs, 412 rectifier cabs.
Right. Yes.
They turned that into something that sounds a little bit like this, but it worked.
Right.
And so ever since then, it's been, I gotta get me one of those.
And how many guys were running their mics through those back in the day?
I'm pretty sure one or two of them that I came across.
You know, you want that instant collective soul sound for an instant here and there. I bet you I could see a lot of guys doing that.
Yep. Tom's first pedal was an FX56 by DOD. I don't actually remember which one that was.
Yeah, which one was that?
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, speaking of 90s pedal companies that were waving the flag with affordability, DOD.
Yeah. All right. It's the American Metal pedal.
Oh, dear Lord.
Very nice.
I don't know about you, Sean, but no pedal that was ever named anything remotely like that, you know, ever sounded good.
Yeah, right. Brian has a little update for us. Just plugged into a wet, dry, wet setup through an LPD 87 and Digitech Polera. I just sinned.
No doubt.
Very nice.
No doubt.
I want to play some LPD stuff. I didn't really get a good idea of what things were sounding like at NAMM, but I want to hear some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That 87, yeah, that's a game changer. It's starting to wind up on a few pro players' boards I've seen, and I'm happy for the guy. So
yeah, absolutely.
Expect to see a bunch of new stuff coming. I can't show a photo that was sent to me on a triple run of new face plates that literally arrived about an hour before we went live. But I can say, as a bit of a teaser for tomorrow night on my stream, I will be announcing a new pedal tomorrow night.
You heard it here first, folks. Garguts had an RP50 Digitech. The casing was horrible and broke it apart after like 500 stomps. That sounds about right for a Digitech multi-effects.
That sounds like the old Rock Tech pedals. Behringer wasn't the first to have plastic pedals.
Oh, no, they weren't. Tom didn't buy any pedals until he had been playing for 6 years. I think I had been playing for like 3 when I bought my first pedal.
I had pedals before I had a guitar.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I think I may have technically owned an acoustic guitar at the time. But when I traded the bass for the pedals, I transitioned from bass to guitar, and I started out using my dad's Tele and amp, which was that Silverface Vibrolux.
Okay.
And I'm like, I need pedals, a Telecaster through a Silverface Fender. There's no gain.
Yeah. Boner Jams, apparently his first pedal was a Cryberry. He needed to play Bulls on Parade like a champ. You can't play Bulls on Parade without it. So definitely with you there. Gillis's first pedal was a Rock Tech Metal Worker. Then he upgraded to the Metal Zone.
Yep. Definitely an upgrade. And I think I saw Gargut said one of his first was a Boss HM2 was one of his first.
Yep. My first single stomp box that wasn't a tuner was the Metal Zone. So I'm very proud of that fact.
I traded a drum kit for $20 in a Boss HM2 once.
Yeah, right. Oh.
And I think I got the better. Well, the guy did get a Ludwig snare, but the rest of the kit was worth maybe $10 combined. Okay. But it was a nice Ludwig snare he got. But yeah, the Boss Heavy Metal pedal. I think I had that thing for 3 or 4 years. That was my go-to tone.
Brian says that he sold an original Ross compressor and a Ross chorus.
Oh, 2 of the holy grails.
Totally.
Yep.
You know, I actually was given my Boss HM2 by Jason McNamara.
Right.
He had one just sitting around. He's like, okay, I'll give it to you. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Jason's a good guy. Shout out Jason McNamara.
Yeah, indeed. I haven't talked to him in a while. I should try to get him on.
You know, I'll never forget the first time I saw him in person at NAMM. Of course, he's a head above everybody. And I said, Jason, nice to meet you. And he turned to me and he went, oh, it's Amanda's brother. Yep. Good thing I got a YouTube channel, you know, content 3-4 times a week. But, yeah, you know, whatever.
But you got a sister.
Yeah, I got a sister.
You got a sister. Garguts had some of those same tone lock pedals. Those were really popular back in the day. JJ had a few of the Toneworks pedals. I remember those. Those weren't as popular, but they were pretty close. We got a new suspect in the chat, Officer Sausage. What up, Sausage?
Hello.
Apparently he thought horseradish was made from real horses. I can understand that.
Yeah. Well, isn't it horses and radishes mixed together?
One would assume. Sock says, not the first pedal ever, but the first drive I got was the Rocktron Silver Dragon.
Ooh.
Very nice. Needs an adapter for it and might be broken, but it's sitting on display on my windowsill where I play. Awesome. Nice. Let's see. Oh, the chat's been jumping around on me the last little bit. Where'd you go? There it is. From Aaron, speaking of new neighbor, my Immerse is a pedal I miss. May get it again. Debating on which to reacquire, that or another Ventris. Oh man, that's a good dilemma to have. I would honestly, I loved the Immerse. I thought it was the right direction. When I was working with them, that was the big release that we did, was the first version of the Immerse, and I thought that was definitely the direction that we needed to go in.
And that's the thing. I'm glad he's asking you and not me, because my God, if you look at Aaron's pedal boards, and I say plural because he has multiple, he has gone so deep dive on obscure boutique that, like, he'll say, oh, yeah, I'm running this. I was thinking about what should I replace it with? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're running currently, dude. Because he's at like 3 levels beyond me. I'm like, I don't know. Unless it's one of Lawrence's product. And even then I'll just smack you and say you never replace a Lawrence product. So
very nice. Yeah.
Yes, the Big Ear Woodcutter is a great Rat clone. And I'm looking to get from TL Pedals, he does a Rat clone as well, because he also got a hold of some LM308 chips.
Very cool. Very cool. Albus likes the VRMN Rat.
The Vermin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of those I'm looking at right now on the board. Lawrence's take on the Rat without using the 308 chip, and he did a damn good job.
Nice. Garget's saying, back in the day, the distortion pedal that surprised me was the Digitech Metal Master. Today, there are so many distortion pedals that sound great. The tech just keeps improving. You know, those Digitech pedals were actually... I had a few of them, and those were definitely pedals that got away because I did end up selling them. But I had...
the other thing, like, Digitech reintroduced a bunch of the old DOD stuff, but they weren't the same.
I mean, they were good, and
they were good, but they weren't quite the same, you know? It was, I don't know, 80% of the way there, but not quite.
Well, I think the thing that inevitably was kind of the point with bringing back DOD is that inevitably Digitech wasn't going to be able to release some of the more adventurous stuff under their brand. And so because there was a demand for it, I know personally, like, I'm in the market for a gonculator modulator.
Oh yeah.
A very, very famous DOD pedal, very infamous DOD pedal, I should say.
Yep.
But for
I have
me,
a soft spot for DODs. If I see them out in the wild, I snap them up.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now as well. So
that goes for anybody out there. You want to get into, if they want to get into collecting, start with pedals.
Yeah, it's very easy to collect pedals.
Yeah. Ideally have 4 to 6 guitars and as many pedals as you can fit in the room.
Exactly. Gargut still has his HM2, which is awesome.
Nice. Wish I still had mine. I have no idea where mine went.
Didn't take convincing after having the 68 Deluxe to get it. They stack perfectly for what I like. Well, there you go.
Yeah, so basically a Rat into a Plexi.
Oh, man. Apparently Albus Aaron had a gonculator.
Of course he did. I think Aaron's had everything.
By the time the divorce rolled around, I probably had 70 or so left, sold 58 of them, and then had like 12 left over. Since then, I've started to rebound and added like 10 more. Well, life happens, you know?
Yep.
Yep. Well, your sister's got to go. Bye, Amanda.
Yes, love you.
Thanks for hanging out. Oh, man. We've been going a little over an hour, and it feels like the time has flown by.
It's crazy, eh?
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. We could talk about gear all night long. We're not going to, but you know.
No. No, we got to give them something for next week. You know, we got to save something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, on that note, let's touch on one last piece of gear that got away.
All right.
And I think what might be the way to end it is, ultimately, of everything you've ever sold, or everything that you could have possibly had the chance to acquire but missed the chance, what's the one you regret the most?
All right. Well, if I was an evil person, okay, I was left unsupervised in a music store to the point of no employees in the store. To fact, like this music store was off. Think of it as it was a room within another store, essentially. So you had to go into one store to get into this one area, which was a music store.
Right.
The owner of the music store wasn't there that day or whatever. So there was this receptionist out front in this lobby area. I think it was a building supply place. It's weird. It was on an Indian reservation, so who knows? You get weird combinations of businesses. And so we're wandering around. I'm checking stuff out, and we're waiting for the owner to come out. And literally, we ended up hanging out in that store for over half an hour, and nobody came and talked to us, and we finally left. And hanging on the wall was a 71 telly that I could have walked out with if I was a bad person. Now, as far as stuff that got away, there's been a couple. I've been pretty blessed where I've been able to put together most everything that I wanted to, but I'm trying to think. Yes, there was Hagstrom, Super Swede. I think it was, they go use like a 70s one. You know, they're a few grand now. I think I could have got it for $300. Lillian.
Check you out, Lillian. Thank you so much for that $20 super chat, super sticker.
I got to bring up the YouTube chat just to see it. Aw, thanks for being you, it says.
Aw, thank you. I should actually have the YouTube open at the same time so I can see some of these things.
So I can see that.
Very nice. Thank you.
I'd say I've been pretty blessed in that respect. You know, I've never, other than, I guess, nothing since then. That was 25, 30 years ago. But being down at Carter's this year and just not having the money, playing guitars I was truly bonding with. Like, I'm thinking, like, if you had that credit card, it wouldn't be just for the sake of having it. But Aaron knows I played, I think it was a 57 or 58 telly down there. It was the only year they did a V-neck similar to a Martin D28 neck. Okay. I just fell in love with it. I couldn't put it. I still, like, up until a month ago, I was still dreaming about that guitar once a week. It's literally haunted me because it just, I went, it's like, where have you been all my life?
Right. Well, there's been some good ones being shared in the chat. Ben is talking about a gem universe that for $200. JJ's got the OG Loch Ness Green gem. Bent also apparently has come across some overdrive specials and a 59 first. I'll just go ahead and share. Mine is a little complicated.
Yeah, there. Aaron just said, it was a 57. See,
yeah, there we go.
That'll haunt me tonight.
Mine's a little complicated because it's multifaceted.
Okay.
So when I graduated high school, I didn't really want anything. I didn't want any gifts. I just was happy to be fucking done with high school. But apparently my family banded together and thought because I had, as much as I hated school, I did really well in school. I had a couple of part-time jobs during that, and they thought that was worth me getting a sizable check for graduation as a graduation gift. That sizable amount was $4,000, and to a 18-year-old boy with $4,000 burning a hole in his pocket, he knew he wanted one thing and one thing only, and that was a new amplifier.
Yeah.
So the first part of that is going down to Sunset Boulevard to Guitar Center. And this was the time where it wasn't just Guitar Center. It was Guitar Center on Sunset Boulevard. It was Mesa Boogie Hollywood. It was Manny's Music, which is now a Sam Ash on Hollywood Boulevard. Carvin had a store on Hollywood Boulevard. And there was another vintage instrument shop on Hollywood Boulevard as well. Caddy Corner from Mesa Boogie Hollywood. And I spent almost 2 weeks going to all those shops.
Okay.
And I played everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything.
Right. Because you had the budget to basically get anything new on the market. Like
anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anything my heart desired was open to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Including a Mesa Boogie, which those amps are not cheap.
No. Well, I was thinking, as soon as you said the amount of money, because like I say, anybody can buy pedals. We can flip and finagle for guitars. Guitars, we aren't really that out of reach unless you're talking Holy Grail, limited run, vintage, whatever. But an amplifier is the hardest thing to acquire is a good amp, I think.
Yep. I passed up dual rectifiers, triple rectifiers, Mark series. The Stiletto series had just been introduced.
Right.
And I passed that up. I passed up a good deal on a JCM 800. I passed up a Plexi reissue, 5150s that were being made by PV at the time.
Right.
I passed all that up to buy a Carvin Legacy.
Wow. Okay.
About 4 years later, I sold that Carvin Legacy. And to this day, I regret selling that Legacy because no amplifier I've ever played has sounded like the original 100 watt 2-channel Carvin Legacy. The issue that I had with it and why I eventually sold it was because it was matched with the wrong speaker cabinet. If I had a vintage 30 loaded speaker cabinet, everything would be fine.
Right.
But I didn't. And so I sold the Legacy. So not only did I pass up more expensive amplifiers, which why wouldn't you spend $2,000 on an amplifier when you had the money to spend? Why would you go with the one that ended up costing $900? Because yes, that Carvin Legacy was under $1,000.
Wow. That's unfathomable because, as you know, because Carvin, basically that was the only retail spot. It was otherwise it was direct order, and to direct order here with exchange rates, although at that time it was bad. It was only about a 10-12% difference in exchange rate, but then you had importation and taxes and stuff, and so really, that amp probably would have cost $1,200-1,400 US.
Right.
You know, so then it's like, well, if I can get this for that money, why would I? But yeah, because that amp's worth, you know, you're not even regret, what it would be worth today. But those amps, you just don't see them on the secondary market.
No,
for the most part. Although there was a Legacy head in the local pawn shop here last fall.
Okay.
Which I was shocked because, you know, most pawn shops, it's going to be little spider amps for the most part, an old beat to death Marshall head, maybe.
Right.
And it's usually a JCM 2000. It's never an 800. And I went in there was 2 800s and a Legacy. And I thought, so what pro player retired and moved into our area for retirement? You know, like that was my first thought, because this is all high-end professional gear. Like this is either on tour or studio. You don't have bedroom players don't have that stuff.
Yeah, nowadays it's hard to come across those original 2-channel Legacies Because, and as I learned when I started working for Carvin, the following of Carvin as a company and its fan base is very, very loyal and very passionate about the products that they put out.
Right.
And even talking to Steve Vai himself, because yes, I've gotten the chance to do that.
Right.
There is a magic to that amplifier that I've only heard once more in, I have the Legacy Drive preamp pedal down on the floor right now, and that is a 1-for-1 preamp from the Legacy amplifier.
Yeah, they did something different that no other company does, and like obviously, I'm sure like Dave Friedman would be like, "Oh yeah, they replaced the fourth resistor, just doubled the ohm rating or whatever." Whatever they did, they moved to shift that tone stack away from that typical British tube sound.
Yeah.
And they changed it enough to give it Steve sound, and it's obvious Steve worked with them, and it wasn't just some Joe Blow guitar player that helped design that amp. It's blatantly obvious because you plug into it, even if you're not into that tone, the Steve Vai tone, you and I can use it as a pedal platform and still sound amazing.
Yeah,
and play completely different music.
Yep, exactly. And I will say the only other thing that's gotten even close is the new Synergy module.
Yeah.
That's his signature one. That's the only one and only thing that I've heard that's gotten close to that original sound. And if I had my druthers, I would have just held on to it a little bit longer, maybe not used it as much, but at least just held on to it.
Now, what kind of cab were you running it into? I am assuming you didn't buy the matching cab.
No, I didn't, because I actually had 2 412 cabs already. So it was like, why do I need another one? But it was the key was those vintage 30s.
Yeah. That's why I was going to say you probably still have that head had you bought a 412 cab with it.
Yeah. If I had, Bent is right, the VL 100. If I had bought the matching 412 cab or even just the 212 cab, if I would have bought the matching cab to the Legacy, I probably would have still had it. I most likely would have ended up buying the orange years later and would have gone on to use that more because that is much closer to what I really want. Apparently, Bent has found a Legacy with a 412 cab for $900 on Reverb.
Wow. What's the shipping on that though?
Yeah, that would be one thing.
I'd hate to think what the shipping is on a 412 cab.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron wants to know what I did with the remaining 3,000. Did I piss it away or buy the taco stand he's been mentioning? Well, I bought the taco stand. I'm kidding.
Oh, it's hookers and blow, Aaron. Come on.
Exactly. Come on, bud. I actually ended up buying some pedals as well.
Cool.
Which I don't have anymore.
Of course not.
Well, we have been going for about an hour and a half. Bent Thomas saying local pickup only. Boo.
But it's in Illinois, and we have both Marsman and Aaron in Illinois.
On that note, the mind is going to be thinking about this. And we've been going for an hour and a half, a little over, and it's been a lot of fun talking about this stuff. Ben, thanks so much for doing this with me and hanging out on air.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. This has been awesome.
Tell everybody about the special occasion that's going on tomorrow night.
So tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, over on my channel, I am doing a birthday hangout, which is something I started on my channel last year. I was ahead of the curve because I found, I spend most of my time on YouTube, like, a lot of us do. And so most of my friends I talk to day to day are people like yourself and Aaron and Bent Tom and JJ. It's not my local friends. So why not have a virtual birthday party online? That way everybody can imbibe as they want. You don't feel like you're drinking alone, and nobody has to drive. Nobody has to Uber. That costs the Uber. And, and since you drink at home, drinks are cheaper too. Which leaves more room for gear.
Yeah!
We love it. So if anyone is interested that isn't already subscribed, I will put a link to the show There we go, in the chat.
Woohoo! And I'll link.
And I think most of the people that are coming on, they're already in the chat.
Nice. Well, I'll be sure to link Ben's channel below if you want to check him out if you're watching this on the replay. If you haven't done so already, please do give this video a thumbs up because it does indeed help. This Saturday, Stompbox Saturday, is returning after a week-long hiatus because this week, could the Tiny Terror get any tinier? The Orange Terror stamp is going to be on the Stompin' Block this week. I am really excited about this one because we're not just going to look at the orange in and of itself. I'm going to put it on a pedal board with chock full of all sorts of goodies that you guys will be seeing. So it's going to be quite a cool video. I had a lot of fun doing this one and think you guys will enjoy it as well.
And I think you're the right guy to do it because you've had a long relationship with orange. And if I did it, I'd call it damn tramp stamp every time I go to talk about it. Because God knows.
Well,
if anyone watches my demos, I usually mispronounce something.
Well, there you go. It happens. Well, thank you. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Thanks to the mods for doing the work. Thanks to everybody for participating in the chat. It has been absolute blast. If you haven't done so already, please do click the subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on notifications, come back Saturday for Stompbox Saturday, and I will be seeing you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, right here for another SPJ Live. Until then, for Mr. Ben Coombs, birthday boy himself, I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, wishing you all out there great tone, good health, and happy stomping. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.